10 under 30. Yes, guys, we're back for the third installment of my 10 under X series, where I find 10 of my personal favorite, most beautiful cards that have a great potential to rise in value over the next year or so under a certain price point. So a little disclaimer, as per usual, if you have seen my previous videos, these are in no particular order, okay guys? They're simply 10 cards that I found or I know about between that price range of $20 to $30 that I think would be fantastic additions to your collection. Very quickly, before we get into things, guys, I do want to take the opportunity to thank all of you massively from the bottom of my heart for the support you're showing on this series and my channel in general. The last video I did of this type of video was the 10 under 20, and the amount of support it received was astronomical. It's blown me away, okay guys? 5,500 views, over 150 likes at the time of recording. My subscriber count is pretty much tripled. It's just mind-blowing, guys. I'm without words. I'm speechless. It's incredible to see the amount of support you guys are showing on the videos and also my channel. So thank you very much, guys. And of course, if you are new here and you do enjoy these videos or any videos regarding the TCG, please don't hesitate to subscribe, as I would love to have you here. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get into the good part. Let's have a look at the 10 cards I've chosen today. Now guys, we're starting off strong, and in number 10 we have Poliwhirl, the illustration rare from the 151 set. Guys, I've said it many times in my videos. If you've been around for a while now, you know what I'm like. I'm an old head. I love my original generation Pokemon. Poliwhirl for me, not only do I like Poliwhirl in general as a Pokemon, but this card is beautiful. Poliwhirl there in his element, looking at his reflection in the water under the rain. I think it's a fantastically beautiful card, and one that, looking at it from more a financial point of view, is performing really well over the last 6 months. As you can see here, it was hovering at just around $10, and over the last 3 months has doubled and has now hit $20. And of course, with the fact that 151 is most likely is not going to be printed anymore, it's now been out for about a year and a half, we're probably going to see product dry up and it become harder to obtain it, and therefore the prices in both product and cards rising. Therefore, I think this is a great time to jump on Poliwhirl and add it to your collection while you can at a good price. Coming in at number 9, and we started off strong with Poliwhirl, and we have a card here from Temporal Forces, the illustration rare Psyduck, that I think gives Poliwhirl a good run for its money. Why is that? Well, first off, it's a story card. This is what I personally call them anyway. That's where 2 or more cards, when you join them together, create a bigger picture. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, as you'll see here, this is the Temporal Forces card list. And if you look at Psyduck here side by side with Dealing, its pre-evolution, you'll see that when you join them together, they create a bigger picture. I think they look absolutely fantastic together. And here's Psyduck coming in at $28, so just under that $30 mark. It's risen a lot in the last 6 months. As you can see, it was down at almost $7 only 6 months ago, and has now more than tripled in value and sits at $28. So guys, one that I think will continue to rise is I think people are starting to cotton on it, how good of a set Temporal Forces is, and just how many good cards that this set contains. As you can see here, there's quite a few of them. I've mentioned before in past videos: Metagross, Arbok, Ghastly, Lickitung, Dealing, Psyduck, the list goes on, and this isn't even covering the SIRs. So Psyduck, while you can, guys, while it's still at quite a respectable price, I recommend picking it up, adding what I think is a very colourful card to your collection. Now, coming in at number 8, we have quite a different card here. As I said, I've tried to include a plethora of different cards, quite a variety, right? Now, this card coming from the Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery, which we know Crown Zenith as a set has a massive amount of different cards. So it's quite easy to kind of lose 1 or 2 in there and not remember that they exist. And this is the case with Deoxys VMAX, right? This is a card that, until I picked it up recently, I completely forgot that existed. It has that sci-fi element to it that you don't really get with Pokemon, right? The world of Pokemon isn't very sci-fi, okay? Deoxys, of course, here in this card, looking like it's being abducted. It's just fantastic, right? It's different. If you're a fan of sci-fi in general, that kind of theme, this is a card you're going to want to pick up whilst it's still at a respectable price. It has jumped up a lot over the last 3 months. As you can see, was around $14 and has shot up over the last few months to over $20. This actually was a card I wanted to include in my last video in 10 under 20, but due to the fact it kept shooting up day by day, I had to delay it and include it in the 10 under 30. Guys, I think it's going to continue in the same vein. Just like 151, Crown Zenith is also nearing the end of its print cycle. We're going to see, it looks like we're going to see some more Sea and Sky collection boxes at Sam's Club. But after that, I do think that's going to be the end of Crown Zenith's print run. And therefore, we should see the prices from all of the cards in Crown Zenith start to rise quite nicely over the next year or two. So if you're looking for something a little bit different to add to your collection, maybe you're a fan of sci-fi, or maybe you're just a fan of colors in general, which this card has, I recommend picking up Deoxys VMAX, as I think it's a fantastic addition to your collection. Now, coming in at number 7, we have the Teal Mask Ogerpon card from the Pokemon Center exclusive ETB. As I said, guys, I want to include different types of cards, right? Not just your standard illustration rares throughout. This is, of course, being something different. It's a promo card, and more specifically, it's a Pokemon Center stamped ETB exclusive card. Now, in general, admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of Ogerpon as a Pokemon, but I will admit that I am a fan of this card specifically. I do think in general the artwork, the colors, the theme of the card, I am a fan of, which is why I can get behind this card, and it's why I've included it in my list. Of course, it has a level of exclusivity, which is why it would be a fantastic addition to your collection. As we know, Pokemon Center ETBs are not heavily printed, and once they're gone, they're usually gone. So, looking at how it's performed in the last few months, as we can see, started off in around the summertime for the Northern Hemisphere, around July time, $12.50, and now it sits at $25. So it's doubled in value over the last few months. You can say, yes, but it has a hiccup. What's that all about? If you're not aware, guys, the Pokemon Company did restock Pokemon Center ETBs for Twilight Masquerade in December, which is why there was a hiccup in price. It reached $25, had a hiccup, but the Twilight Masquerade Pokemon Center ETB sold out quickly. Therefore, the price has also recovered quickly and has shot back up to $25. I don't think we'll see any more of these ETBs. Therefore, I do think this price will only rise and rise over the next year. With how strong the market's performing, with the exclusivity of this card, being a beautiful card as well, I think it's a fantastic addition, and I think it's a strong investment too. Now, coming in at number 6, we have Steelix, more specifically, the illustration rare from Paradox Rift. Now, in general, I think Paradox Rift is a slightly slept on set. I think it's a strong one. It contains quite a few strong cards, but I do think people are starting to wake up and realize just how strong a set this one is. Of course, here we have Steelix, and it is a very beautiful card in my opinion. Steelix in its element there, a very majestic looking card, the way it stood up tall, helping the people on the construction site. I love how this looks, fantastic card. And the way it's performed over the last few months does it justice. As you can see, sitting at around $16 only a few months ago in that latter part of September, has ridden that wave of this market, the way it's performed, and has pushed all the way up to almost $30, sitting at just over $27 right now. I do think it will continue to rise in that same vein, and I do think give it a year or two, we're looking at a card here that could easily push $40–45 US. So guys, for whatever reason you might want to pick this card up, it's a fantastic addition and a very safe bet, one that's going to continue rising in my most humble opinion. I love this Steelix card, and I really recommend you pick this up while you can at a very good price. So moving on to number 5, guys, we're halfway there, and we have Riolu. This one being the illustration rare from the Scarlet and Violet Base Set. Now, of course, it's the pre-evolution of what you can see there in the background, Lucario. Lucario being a very strong and lovable Pokemon, as it was included in the anime. Of course, it was one of Ash's Pokemon, and if you have seen the anime and you know how they correlate the Pokemon in the anime and the TCG, cards of Pokemon that Ash had himself in the anime usually tend to perform well in the TCG. They're quite lovable Pokemon, right? We normally have quite a connection to these Pokemon as Ash had them himself, and therefore Riolu is no exception. Now, as we look at how it's performed over the last few months, again, in that end of September, early part of October period, it was sitting at around $7–7.50, but it has tripled in value and did reach a peak of $28.50 only a week ago, has dropped off slightly to $23.50, but give Scarlet and Violet Base Set time to perform well over the next few years. It's a slightly slept on set. It's one that's in the upper echelon of sets from this era. I do think give it time, let it perform well, and you'll see Riolu rise with it. Fantastic addition to your collection, guys. A beautiful card and one you just simply can't go wrong with. Moving on to number 4, and I have something again a little bit different. It's the gold card, Alolan Exeggutor, the hyper rare from Surging Sparks. I do think the gold cards do have a fairly decent level of desirability to them depending on what they are. Alolan Exeggutor is quite a desirable Pokemon in general in this set. Of course, the SIR card with the rainbow border being the most desirable card. But if you can't get your hands on that due to how expensive it is, then you start to look at the gold card, which again, I think is a beautiful card. I love how this looks. You still get that rainbow aspect to it with the outline of the Alolan Exeggutor Pokemon. Now, as we see here, this is not your typical graph that you've seen from the other Pokemon, which are just rise, rise, rise. This one's shot up at release, hit $22 and is plateaued around that $20 mark. But that's normal on the release of a new set. Of course, this coming from Surging Sparks, which is still relatively new, and it's normal for cards to hit a high and then drop off a bit and plateau after a few weeks or a few months after release. So this is one that I think we're kind of looking at that stage before the rise. If you go back to say the last one, Riolu, we're in this stage here, right? That plateau period. And I think this is what will come soon with this Alolan Exeggutor gold card. So if you want something a little bit different for your collection, a gold card here or there, I recommend this. It's only $20 right now, but I do think in the future, give it time, it's easily got the potential to rise to $40, $50 US. Now coming in at number 3, and I couldn't make the top 3 without including my favorite innocent, mischievous little duck, Psyduck from Generation 1, guys. Why do I call him that? Well, if you didn't see the anime back in the day, Psyduck was a very... He was innocent, but he would cause a lot of problems for Misty, bless her. It was, of course, her Pokemon, and he'd cause her a lot of headaches, he'd cause a lot of trouble, but in a very innocent way. He's a very lovable Pokemon, in my opinion, right? And he's in his element in this card, right? As you can see, of course, hands on the head, in his element, wandering around, not doing much, but looking very happy, and I love it, right? And I love the card, I love the colors, I love the art style, the blues, the greens. It's a fantastic looking card, right? And not only that, it's from a very, very strong 151 set. As I said at the beginning with the Poliwhirl card, you can't go wrong with 151 right now, as it's probably not going to be printed any further once Blooming Waters is done. That's, of course, is coming out in February. Therefore, this is a fantastic addition to your collection. So if we look at how it's performed in the last few months, it was sitting at only $10 a few months ago back in July, August, and has doubled in value and sits at around $20 US right now. Guys, this is a fantastic pickup for the reasons I've mentioned. Good Pokemon, good card, good set. This is probably going to be a $40 US card easy over the next year or so. So pick it up while you can, add it to your collection. It's a strong addition. I absolutely do love this card. Now coming in at that number 2 spot, guys, we have one of the 3 legendary dogs from the 2nd generation. More specifically being the Raikou V, the ultra rare card from the Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery. Now, this is a fantastic card. Look at all those colors, right? The blues and the reds in the background, a blurred horizon, which makes it look like Raikou is running extremely fast, and I'm sure he is, right? It's a very fast Pokemon, very fast legendary dog. I love how this card looks, right? It's a fantastic looking card. Of course, you've got the lightning strikes going on in the foreground and the background, just to add another element to that card. I love it. It's fantastic, right? So, looking at how it's performed, it's very up and down, but in general, there's a rise there, right? It was sitting at $17.5 US 6 months ago, has risen to almost $30. Thankfully, for the sake of this video, just sitting at under $30. But guys, as I've said before, with the Crown Zenith set, it's not going to be printed much more, and therefore you're going to see the price of both product and cards within it rise very soon. Give this one a year or so, this is easily going to be a $40, $45 card. It's a legendary Pokemon, part of a legendary trio which all exist in that Crown Zenith set. They're going to be expensive cards in the future. I reckon all of the 3 legendary dogs, give it time, are all going to be $50 cards. So get it while you can, guys, at only $28. Fantastic addition to your collection. In general, the Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery's got a plethora of brilliant cards, this one being a prime example of it. Pick it up while you can, guys. It's a fantastic addition to your collection. Now, coming in at that number 1 spot, guys, one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, Dragonair. I'm probably going to divide opinion here. I'm probably going to annoy some of you here, but I'm going to say it as I'm entitled to my opinion. Dragonair is, in my opinion, the best Pokemon from that evolution trio. I actually think it's better than Dragonite, just how it looks. I love the elegance of Dragonair, and I prefer it to Dragonite. I do still like Dragonite, but Dragonair being one of my favourite Pokemon of all time, blue being one of my favourite colours. When the 151 set was first released, I remember looking at all of the art within that set, and Dragonair grabbed my attention immediately. I love it. It's a fantastic card, right? Got the dark blues in the bottom of the card there. As you move upwards, it gets lighter and lighter until you get to a whitish blue at the top. Dragonair in its elements, swimming around. Brilliant card, right? Now, how's it performed? Very up and down, to be fair, in the last 3 months. As you can see, reached a high in November at 25, dropped all the way down to 22 in December, but has risen nicely over the last month or so and has reached almost $28 in January. So, how will this card perform in the future? Again, 151, can't go wrong. Probably about to finish its print run, therefore the price of the product as well as the cards within it, especially the strong ones like this Dragonair card, are only going to perform well over time. So guys, while you can, get it at a good price again. For me, in my opinion, a $45, $50 card in the future, get it while it's still under 30. Add that card to your collection, you're not going to regret it. It's a fantastic looking card. I love Dragonair personally, and I recommend you all pick it up for whatever reason and add it to your collection. Now to summarize guys, you should see floating around me right now all of the cards we've looked at, all 10 of them. You can see them now side by side. I think, imagine these in your binder as they look right now like this. Fantastic additions to your collection, guys. We've looked at the prices as well and how I think they'll perform in the future. And I've purposely selected cards that not only are beautiful, but also ones where you can't go wrong financially. They're all most likely going to rise nicely in the next year or so. Let me know down in the comments, guys, what you think of all of these cards. If you like them, what order you'd put them in, if you've already got some of them, etc, etc. I always love to hear your opinions. Now that does conclude today's video, guys, so thank you one and all for watching. I really do appreciate your support. As I said at the beginning, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of support I'm receiving, not only on my channel but more specifically these types of videos. Guys, I love making them, it's very fun, and I love to share these cards with you. So as long as they keep receiving this level of support, I will continue to make them. As always, guys, if you have enjoyed the video, please don't hesitate to smash that like button. I really do appreciate all your support. And if you are new here and you're not yet subscribed, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button right there, guys. As always, if you want to watch the other 2 videos that I've made of this style, where it's 10 under 10 or 10 under 20, those videos can be seen right there. Guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. I've been Pokecharler. I'll catch you in the next one.